Greetings and welcome to Hexed Countered. I'm Joe. I am doing a series of top 6 in honor of the 6 sides in a hex and the 6 sides on a D6. And the next one is probably the one that is going to be the most interesting because it is the top 6 games that I did video for in the year 2025. Now, all of these were either released in 25 or probably maybe 24, one maybe 23, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. One is a remake. All excellent games, and I'm going to get started here with number 6, and that is from Lock and Load Publishing, JU87 Stuka Ace. Solitaire game. One of several Stuka games that are solitaire games that are available out there. I did do a video that covers this game plus Storm of Steel and also Stuka Leader, which are the other 2 games that I have that are solitaire games, and kind of compared them to each other. And so here is a look at the back of the box. Now, there is video on this. I did do video on it, obviously, so you can look for that. I will try to put cards up on the video for all of these. This, as I said, is from Lock and Load Publishing. It is designed by Gottardo Zancani, and you are in command of a Ju-87 dive bomber, as you might guess. This is a really enjoyable game because, well, for one thing, it's fairly easy to pick up. The components are gorgeous. The dive mechanics, the mechanics for the actual dive, for the attack, are really well done and creative, and it gives you a feeling of being more than just a dice roll. Like, there is luck involved, obviously. Anytime you're rolling dice, there is luck involved, but there are things you can do. You make a decision on how risky of a dive you want to undertake, basically, is what it really boils down to. But just a really, really fun game. I really enjoyed it. That's why it's on this list. So this is number 6, and we'll move on now to number 5. And number 5 is one I played fairly recently, actually. This is British Tank Ace, solitary tank combat game from Compass Games and designer Gregory M. Smith, who has done, previously to this, he did American Tank Ace, so this is very much in the same vein as that one. Again, he's kind of the master of this like narrative solitaire type game where you play as, a captain of a U-boat or a pilot of various aircraft or a tank commander. And this one is just as good as all the other ones. You get a slew of different tanks that you can command. It does a really great job. Let me flip it over here. It does that's 2 in a row like that. It does a really great job of kind of showing the evolution of British armor during war, from kind of the slow tanks that were in North Africa or France in 1940 to the better tanks that came along later on, as well as the American tanks, American-built tanks like the Sherman that the Brits and the Canadians, well, the Commonwealth essentially, used as well. And you can see some of that on here with the Sherman and the Sherman II and the Matilda here. In the usual case, you've got your commander. You've got all kinds of awards and things you can do. The missions, this is a loaded game because there's plenty of missions to play, and there's 3 fronts. You have Western Europe, you have Italy, and you have North Africa, and you can play in all 3 of them. You can actually attempt to do a campaign through the entire war, essentially, by starting in North Africa and progressing through Italy and France, which I never did, but I imagine it would be difficult to get through because, as is the case with all of his games, the survivability isn't always great. I just did some Western Front Ace, which is a World War I game, and I didn't last very long, let's put it that way. But again, Gregory M. Smith is kind of the master of this type of game. So that is number 5. We'll move on to number 4 here, and that is Blue and Gray Deluxe Edition from Decision Games. And you can see here 8 Civil War battles. A lot in this. This is two of the old SPI quads from the mid-70s combined into one game or one box. And you've got all of these various battles in here that you can play. You've got Antietam, Cemetery Hill, which is Gettysburg, Chickamauga, Shiloh, Chattanooga, Fredericksburg, Hooker and Lee, which is Chancellorsville, and the Wilderness. And this game, like I said, is chock loaded with stuff. Good components, very faithful to the original. It includes all of the optional rules and variants and everything. It is a two-player game, very solo-friendly as well. You get double-sided mounted map boards, 4 of them, one battle on each map, essentially. Almost 1,000 counters. All of the scenarios have their own setup, player aid cards, so you know where to put all the units. I did several videos on this game because of how much I liked it. Now, as I said, it's an old game, 50 years old, essentially, for the core material that made this up. But if you're looking for a relative bargain in terms of content, bang for your buck, this is definitely one to look at if you are into the Civil War. Really, really well done. And yes, this is the game I was talking to about not being a new game. It's an old game in a new package. Updated, includes all the variants and everything. So it is very much worth your while. That is number 4. Now we're going to stick in the American Civil War for number 3. And this one, I could have placed anywhere from 3 to 1. Ultimately, I landed on 3. No particular reason. The top 3 were very difficult to separate or differentiate in my rankings, but this is Rebel Fury, which, just like the other one, contains multiple battles. This is Mark Herman's design, the Civil War Heritage Series Volume 1. Volume 2, Army of the Potomac, is coming out in 2026. I will be getting that and playing that as well. But I played this both on the tabletop game and also on the PC version, which is excellent, a very, very good and faithful rendition of this game into a digital format. Now, you've got Fredericksburg and Chancellorsville, Chickamauga and Chattanooga, the Wilderness and Spotsylvania kind of grouped together, but all separate, and you can play all of them. As you can see, the maps, they share some maps. That's why I said together, right? Because the battlefields were close to each other, overlapping in some cases. And just the system is the one that Mark Herman created for Gettysburg in C3I magazine. He also did Waterloo, which uses the same system. And this is a really, really, just like anything Mark Herman does, it's a really well-designed system. They use a zone of influence to he uses zone of influence to make troop movement slower as they approach the enemy, which is really clever and a great mechanic. And there are a lot of things you can do with your units to kind of place roadblocks via detachments, right? This smaller counter here is a detachment. You place those and it slows the enemy down as they get closer. So you force them into maneuvering. And it makes, if it's played correctly, you can really do a lot of things to hamper your enemy's movement while not really putting anything out there that's going to be overly costly if you lose it. The complexity is low. It's a 3. That's fair. It's not a very complex game, but as I said, it's very ingenious, which kind of befits Mark Herman's design history. And medium solitaire suitability. It's really best as a 2-player game. You can solo it, and it works pretty well. But you lose out a little bit of that kind of cat and mouse with the detachments and some of the movements, and really using the whole system to its fullest. So again, this is number 3. Excellent game. Highly recommend it, and look for the sequel, Army of the Potomac, coming out from GMT in 2026. So coming in at number 2 is Purple Haze. This is from Phalanx, and Bernard Grzybowski is the designer. It's a Vietnam game, as you might guess by the title and the Hueys here on the box cover. This is a solitaire game that can support up to 4 players by managing various members of your squad. So this game is a big game. There's a lot to it. There are a bunch of expansions, which I also have. And this is kind of the footprint here that you see on the back of the box. Now, I did do video on this, as was the case for the others as well. So you can expect to see in those videos this basic layout. I probably had it a little bit different, but you've got a battle map and kind of an overall operation map where you kind of walk through or travel through various areas, and you can run into the enemy, which captures the whole kind of asymmetric nature of Vietnam, where the U.S. troops would go out and look for the VC, the Viet Cong, or the NVA, and especially in the case of the Viet Cong, they were very hard to pin down. So, and there was ambushes and all kinds of stuff. So this captures that really, really well. It is, as I said, kind of a solitaire game, builds a great narrative. There are booklets that you kind of read paragraphs in that kind of tell the story of your missions as they go on, and the different decisions you make and the way things play out when you have combat will help direct where you go in the booklet for the scenario. Just a really, really great design, a kind of mixture of several different mechanics maybe, but really fun and really immersive. So if you're looking for an immersive solitaire experience, this game is right up your alley in that respect. Again, obviously, it's on the list at number 2, so it means I liked it a lot, and that is definitely the case. This gets a recommend for sure, as do all the other games I've mentioned thus far, and the game I'm about to mention, which is my number 1 game for the year 2026. It's a big one, and it's heavy, and it probably won't even fit in the shot in its entirety, but this is my number 1 game of 2025 in terms of games I played. So take that for what it is. This is from Flying Pig Games. It is the second game in the Black Swan system here. This is, of course, The Rock of Chickamauga, designed by Herman Luttman. The painting here, which is really nice, is from Dale Gallen. And this thing weighs a ton. It is a big box, as you can see, and it is heavy. There is a lot in here, multiple maps, all kinds of stuff. This is a fantastic system. And I would say that this one might be a better intro to that system than the first game, A Most Fearful Sacrifice, which is a fantastic game. But this one is very, very good, obviously. I ranked it as number 1. So this is a 2-player game. You can play it solo, but it really, really hits the spot when you play it with 2 players. Captures the chaos and intensity of the 3-day Battle of Chickamauga. The late, great Rick Barber designed the map for Most Fearful Sacrifice. This one was, I forget who did it. I'd have to look at the book, and I feel terrible that I don't remember. But just a great map in that Rick Barber style. I know some people maybe don't like it, but I think it's fantastic. You've got the little farms and all the trees, and the ridges are very clearly defined, and water and all that stuff. It's all really well done. The artwork on the counters is great. The counters, the components, any component in a Flying Pig Games entry is just off the charts great, and that is this is not an exception to that. Let's say that. So, yeah, you have game maps equaling 15 square feet of gaming goodness in the style of the late Rick Barber. 352 13/16-inch counters. Yes, that is almost 1 inch. They are large. You get 1/5/8 counter sheet with 176 admin counters, 99 cards. This is kind of an evolution of blind swords, and so on. So you have it says that up here: Fortunes of War, Frictions of War, Fog of War. That is kind of the gist of this system. There's 16 scenarios in here, multiple maps, massive battlefield. If you do the full enchilada, it's just a really, really excellent game. Can't stress that enough. If you are looking for a fantastic Civil War game, this is your Huckleberry. That's what I was trying to remember. I had Val Kilmer in my head. I'm your Huckleberry. I couldn't remember what he said. Anyway, number one for 2025. And since this is the first video for 2026, I want to wish everybody a happy new year. I look forward to another year of gaming goodness here on the Hexed Countered channel. A shout out to my channel members, my Fantastic Nine, my Nazgul, if we want to use a Lord of the Rings kind of comparison there, because there's 9 of them. But I appreciate the support. I really do. And that holds true for everybody. All my subscribers, there's over 5,300 subscribers now. That's fantastic. I appreciate that as well. All the people who kind of come and watch, and maybe you don't watch the whole thing, but you give it a like, or you give it a share, or a hype, or whatever, all of that stuff is much appreciated. And, if you would be kind enough to do any of those things for this one, that would be outstanding as well. You got comments, questions. Maybe you watched my channel a lot this past year, and saw something that I didn't do in my top 6 that you thought was great. Let me know. I'm always looking forward to discussing stuff with you guys. But yeah, if you can, subscribe or do any of those other things, that would be great. Questions, comments, etc. And, other than that, I just want to say thank you again. I hope you all have a fantastic 2026. But until next time, I'm Joe. This is Hexed Countered. And as always, happy gaming.